Hello, how are you? Next chapter of The Secret Garden by Francis Hodgson Burnett. Chapter 19. It has come. Are you ready? Get yourself sorted with a nice snack, with a nice drink. Get yourself chilled out, relaxed and comfy, and we will begin reading. Here we go. Of course, Dr. Craven had been sent for the morning after Colin had had his tantrum. He was always sent for at once when such a thing occurred, and he always found, when he arrived, a white, shaken boy lying on his bed, sulky and still so hysterical that he was ready to break into fresh sobbing at the least word. In fact, Dr. Craven dreaded and detested the difficulties of these visits. On this occasion, he was away from Misselthwaite Manor until afternoon. "How is he?" he asked Mrs. Medlock rather irritably when he arrived. "He'll break a blood vessel in one of these fits one day. The boy is half insane with hysteria and self-indulgence." "Well, sir," said Mrs. Medlock, "you'll scarcely believe your eyes when you see him. That plain, sour-faced child that's almost as bad as himself has just bewitched him. How she's done it, there's no telling. The Lord knows she's nothing to look at, and you scarcely ever hear her speak, but she did what none of us dare to do. She just flew at him like a little cat last night. She stamped her feet and ordered him to stop screaming, and somehow she startled him so that he actually did stop. This afternoon, well, just come up and see, sir. It's past crediting." The scene which Mr. Dr. Craven beheld when he entered his patient's room was indeed rather astonishing to him. As Mrs. Medlock opened the door, he heard laughing and chattering. Colin was on his sofa in his dressing gown, and he was sitting up quite straight, looking at a picture in one of the garden books, and talking to the plain child, who at that moment could scarcely be called plain at all because her face was so glowing with enjoyment. "Those long spires of blue ones. We'll have a lot of those," Colin was announcing. "They are called delphiniums." "Dickon says they're larkspurs made big and grand," cried Mistress Mary. "There are clumps there already." Then they saw Dr. Craven, and they both stopped. Mary became quite still, and Colin looked fretful. "I am sorry to hear you were ill last night, my boy," Dr. Craven said, a trifle nervously. He was a rather nervous man. "I'm better now, much better," Colin answered, rather like the Rajah. "I'm going out of my chair in a day or two, if it's fine. I want some fresh air." Dr. Craven sat down by him and felt his pulse and looked at him curiously. "It must be a very fine day, and you must be very careful not to tire yourself out." "Fresh air won't tire me," said the young Rajah. As there had been occasions when this same young gentleman had shrieked aloud with rage and had insisted that fresh air would give him cold and kill him, it is not to be wondered at that his doctor felt somewhat startled. "I thought you didn't like fresh air," he said. "I don't when I'm by myself," replied the Rajah, "but my cousin is going out with me." "And the nurse, of course," suggested Dr. Craven. "No, I will not have the nurse," so magnificently that Mary could not help remembering how the young native prince had looked with his diamonds and emeralds and pearls stuck all over him, and the great rubies on the small dark hand he had waved to command his servants to approach with salams and receive his orders. "My cousin knows how to take care of me. I am always better when she is with me. She made me better last night. A very strong boy, I know, will push my carriage." Dr. Craven felt rather alarmed. If this tiresome, hysterical boy should chance to get well, he himself would lose all chance of inheriting Misselthwaite. But he was not an unscrupulous man, though he was a weak one, and he did not intend to let him run into actual danger. "He must be a very strong boy, and a steady boy," he said. "And I must know something about him. Who is he? What's his name?" It's Dickon. Mary spoke up suddenly. She felt somehow that everyone who knew the moor must know Dickon. She was right, too. She saw that in a moment Dr. Craven's serious face relaxed into a relieved smile. Oh, Dickon! If it's Dickon, you will be safe enough. He's as strong as a moor pony, is Dickon. And he's trusty, said Mary. He's the trustiest lad at Yorkshire. She had been talking Yorkshire to Colin and she forgot herself. Did Dickon teach you that? Asked Dr. Craven, laughing outright. I'm learning it as if it were French, said Mary, rather coldly. It's like a different dialect altogether. Very clever people try to learn them. I like it, and so does Colin. Very well. If it amuses you, perhaps it won't do you any harm. Did you take your bromide last night, Colin? No, I wouldn't take it at first, and after Mary made me quiet, she talked me to sleep in a low voice about the spring creeping into her garden. That does sound soothing, said Dr. Craven, more perplexed than ever, and glancing sideways at Mistress Mary sitting on her stool and looking down silently at the carpet. You are evidently better, but you must remember. I don't want to remember, interrupted the Rajah, appearing again. When I lie by myself and remember, I begin to have pains everywhere, and I think of things that make me begin to scream because I hate them so. If there was a doctor anywhere who could make you forget you were ill instead of remembering it, I would have him brought here. And he waved a thin hand which ought really to have been covered with royal signet rings made of rubies. It is because my cousin makes me forget that she makes me better. Dr. Craven had never made such a short stay after a tantrum. Usually he was obliged to remain a very long time and do a great many things. This afternoon he did not give any medicine or leave any new orders, and he was spared any disagreeable scenes. When he talked to Mrs. Medlock in the library, she felt that she was a much puzzled man. Well, sir, she ventured, could you have believed it? It certainly is a new state of affairs, said the doctor, and there's no denying it's better than the old one. I believe Susan Sowerby's right. I do that, said Mrs. Medlock. I stopped in her cottage on way to Thwaite yesterday, and a bit of a talk with her. She says to me, well, Sarah Ann, she mayn't be a good child and she mayn't be a pretty child, but she is a child and children needs children. We went to school together, Susan Sowerby and me. She's the best sick nurse I know, said Dr. Craven. When I find her in a cottage, I know the chances are that I shall save my patient. Mrs. Medlock smiled. She was fond of Susan Sowerby. She's got a way with her, Susan, she went on quite volubly. I've been thinking all morning of one thing she said yesterday, and she says, once when I were giving the children a bit of a preach after they'd been fighting, I says to 'em all, when I was at school my geography told us the world was shaped like an orange, and I found out before I was 10 that the whole orange don't belong to nobody. No one owns more than his bit of quarter, and there's times it seems like there's not enough quarters to go round. But don't you, none of you, think as you own the whole orange, or you'll all be mistaken, and you won't find it out without hard knocks. What children learns from children, she says, is that there's no sense in grabbing at the whole orange, peel and all. If you do, you'll likely not even get the pips, as them's too bitter to eat. She's a shrewd woman, said Dr. Craven, putting on his coat. Well, she's got a way of saying things, ended Mrs. Medlock, much pleased. Sometimes I've said to her, Susan, if you was a different woman and didn't talk much broad Yorkshire, I've seen the times when I should have said you was clever. That night Colin slept without once awakening, and when he opened his eyes in the morning, he lay still and smiled without knowing it. Smiled because he felt so curiously comfortable. It was actually nice to be awake, and he turned over and stretched his limbs luxuriously. He felt as if tight strings which had held him had loosened themselves and let him go. He did not know that Dr. Craven would have said that his nerves had relaxed and rested themselves. Instead of lying and staring at the wall and wishing he had not awakened, his mind was full of the plans he and Mary had made yesterday, of pictures of the garden and of Dickon and his wild creatures. It was so nice to have things to think about, and he had not been awake more than 10 minutes when he heard feet running along the corridor and Mary was at the door. The next minute she was in the room and had run across to his bed, bringing with her a waft of fresh air full of the scent of the morning. "You've been out! You've been out! There's that nice smell of leaves!" he cried. She had been running and her hair was loose and blown as if she was bright with the air and pink-cheeked, though he could not see it. "Oh, it's so beautiful out there," she said, a little breathless with her speed. "You never saw anything so beautiful. It has come. I thought it had come the other morning, but it was only coming. It is here now. It has come. The spring, Dickon. Dickon says so." "Has it?" cried Colin, and though he really knew nothing about it, he felt his heart beat. He actually sat up in bed. "Open the window," he added, laughing half with joyful excitement and half at his own fancy. "Perhaps we may hear golden trumpets." And though he laughed, Mary was at the window in a moment, and in a moment more it was opened wide, and freshness and softness and scents and bird songs were pouring through. "That's fresh air," she said. "Lie on your back and draw in long breaths of it. That's what Dickon does when he's lying on the moor. He says he feels it in his veins, and it makes him strong, and he feels as if he could live for ever and ever. Breathe it, do." She was only repeating what Dickon had told her, but she caught Colin's fancy. "For ever and ever. Does it make him feel like that?" he said, as he did as she told him, drawing in long, deep breaths over and over again until he felt that something quite new and delightful was happening to him. Mary was at his bedside again. "Things are crowding up out of the earth," she ran on in a hurry, "and there are flowers uncurling and buds on everything, and the green veil has covered nearly all of the grey, and the birds are in such a hurry about their nests for fear that they may be too late, that some of them are even fighting for places in the secret garden, and the rose bushes look as thick as wick can be, and there are primroses in the lanes and woods, and seeds we planted up, and Dickon has brought the fox and the crow and the squirrels and a newborn lamb." Then she paused for breath. The newborn lamb Dickon had found 3 days before lying by its dead mother among the gorse bushes on the moor. It was not the first motherless lamb he had found, and he knew what to do with it. He had taken it to the cottage wrapped in his jacket, and he had let it lie near the fire and had fed it with warm milk. It was a soft thing with a darling, silly baby face and legs rather long for its body. Dickon had carried it over the moor in his arms, and its feeding bottle was in his pocket with a squirrel, and when Mary had sat under a tree with its limp warmness huddled by her lap, she had felt as if she were too full of strange joy to speak. A lamb, a living lamb who lay on your lap like a baby. She was describing it with great joy, and Colin was listening and drawing in long breaths of air when the nurse entered. She started a little at the sight of the open window. She had sat stifling in the room many a warm day because her patient was sure that open windows gave people cold. Are you not chilly, Master Colin?" she inquired. "No," was the answer. "I am breathing long breaths of fresh air. It makes you strong. I'm going to get up to the sofa for breakfast, and my cousin was going to have breakfast with me." The nurse went away concealing a smile. To give the order, that was for 2 breakfasts. She found the servants' hall a more amusing place than the invalid's chamber, and just now everybody wanted to hear the news from upstairs. There was a great deal of joking about the unpopular young recluse who, as the cook said, had found his master, and good for him. The servants' hall had been very tired of the tantrums, and the butler, who was a man with a family, had more than once expressed his opinion that the invalid would be all the better for a good hiding. When Colin was on the sofa and the breakfast for 2 was put upon the table, he made an announcement to the nurse in his most Rajah-like manner. "A boy and a fox and a crow and 2 squirrels and a newborn lamb are coming to see me this morning. I want them brought upstairs as soon as they come. You are not to begin playing with the animals in the servants' hall and keep them there. I want them here." The nurse gave a light gasp and tried to conceal it with a cough. "Yes, sir. I'll tell you what you can do," said Colin, waving his hand. "You can tell Martha to bring them here. The boy is Martha's brother. His name is Dickon, and he is an animal charmer." "I hope the animals won't bite, Master Colin," said the nurse. "I told you he was a charmer," said Colin austerely. "Charmers' animals never bite." "There are snake charmers in India," said Mary, "and they can put the snakes' heads in their mouths." "Oh, goodness!" shuddered the nurse. They ate their breakfast with the morning air pouring in upon them. Colin's breakfast was a very good one, and Mary watched him with serious interest. "You will begin to get fatter, just as I did. I never wanted my breakfast when I was in India. Now I always want it." "I wanted mine this morning. Perhaps it was the fresh air. When do you think Dickon will come?" He was not long in coming. In about 10 minutes, Mary held up her hand. "Listen. Do you hear a caw?" Colin listened and heard it, the oddest sound in the world to hear inside a house, a hoarse caw, caw. "Yes," she answered. "That's soot," said Mary. "Listen again. Do you hear a bleat? A tiny one?" "Yes," said Colin, quite flushing. "That's the newborn lamb. He's coming." Dickon's moorland boots were thick and clumsy, and though he tried to walk quietly, they made a clumping sound as he walked through the long corridors. Mary and Colin heard him marching until he passed through the tapestry door onto the soft carpet of Colin's own passage. "If you please, sir," announced Martha, opening the door. "If you please, sir, here's Dickon and his creatures." Dickon came in smiling his nicest wide smile. The newborn lamb was in his arms and a little red fox trotted by his side. Nut sat on his left shoulder and Soot on his right, and Shell's head and paws peeped out of his coat pocket. Colin slowly sat up and stared as he had stared when he first saw Mary, but this was a stare of wonder and delight. The truth was that in spite of all he had heard, he had not in the least understood what this boy would be like, and that his fox and his crow and his squirrels and his lamb were so near to him and his friendliness that they seemed almost to be part of himself. Colin had never talked to a boy in his life, and he was so overwhelmed by his own pleasure and curiosity that he did not even think of speaking. But Dickon didn't feel a least bit shy or awkward. He had not felt embarrassed because the crow had not known his language and had only stared and had not spoken to him for the first time they met. Creatures were always like that until they found out about you. He walked over to Colin's sofa and put the newborn lamb quietly on his lap, and immediately the little creature turned to the warm velvet dressing gown and began to nuzzle into its folds and butt its tight-curled head with soft impatience against his side. Of course, no boy could have helped speaking then. "What's it doing?" cried Colin. "What does it want from me?" "It wants its mother," said Dickon, smiling more and more. "I brought it to thee a bit hungry, because I knowed thou'd like to see it feed." He knelt down by the sofa and took a feeding bottle from his pocket. "Come on, little un," he said, turning the small woolly white head a little gentle brown hand. "This is what thou's after. Thou'll get more out of this than thou will out of silk velvet coats. There now." And he pushed the rubber tip of the bottle into the nuzzling mouth, and the lamb began to suck it with ravenous ecstasy. After that there was no wondering what to say. By the time the lamb fell asleep, questions poured forth, and Dickon answered all of them. He told them how he had found the lamb just as the sun was rising 3 mornings ago. He had been standing on the moor listening to a skylark and watching him swing higher and higher into the blue until he was only a speck in the heights of blueness. "I'd almost lost him but for his song, and I were wondering how a chap could hear it when he seemed as if he'd get out of the world in a minute. And then, just then, I heard something else far off among gorse bushes. It were a weak bleating, and I knew it were lamb as was hungry, and I knowed it wouldn't be hungry if I hadn't lost its mother somehow. And so I set off searching. I did have to look for it. I went out, in and out amongst them gorse bushes, and round as they always seem to take wrong turning. But at last I seed a bit of white by a rock on top at moor, and I climbed up, and I found this little un, half dead, with cold and clemming. While he talked, soot flew solemnly in and out of the open window, and cawed remarks about the scenery, while Nut and Shell made excursions into the big trees outside, running up and down trunks and exploring branches. Captain curled up near Dickon. He sat on the hearthrug from preference. They looked at the pictures in the gardening books, and Dickon knew all of the flowers by their country names and knew exactly which ones were already growing in the secret garden. I couldn't say that there name, he said, pointing to one under which was written Aguilasia. But us calls that a columbine, and that there's a snapdragon, and they both grow wild in edges. But these is garden ones, and they're bigger and grander. There's some big clumps of columbine in the garden. They'll look like a bed of blue and white butterflies fluttering when they're out. I'm going to see them, said Colin. I am going to see them. Aye, that there mun, said Mary quite seriously, and thou mun not lose no time about it. There you go. That was that chapter. Hope you're enjoying it. I have to keep on stopping now. Like, you might notice different lighting halfway through that. It's getting dark now already. Earlier and earlier and earlier. Oh, my goodness. And the old... I hate having to read for you when I'm sounding all nasally. I do not like it. So I go and have a hot drink and blow into my nose. Then I put some nice smelly stuff under my nose to try and clear it. There's no other way of doing it. So yeah, that's why it takes just so long to record an episode nowadays. God, we're striving for perfection. How's your week been so far? I know it's only Monday, but I haven't seen you since Thursday. Mine's okay. Didn't really do much this weekend. Got a haircut. Got a new jumper. Other than that, didn't really do anything. I got home from work. I thought I was fairly early home from work tonight, but I live in like the first house in a cul-de-sac. So like you come in, it's a dead end basically. It doesn't go anywhere. First house, so right on a corner, and there's a main road out here, then a cul-de-sac. Down that way, still on the main road, is quite a big bend. And cars park all the way along that bend, so you have to like take your life in your own hands and overtake them, because you can't see if there's anything coming the other way. So they all park down there. Just recently, some people from down there have taken to parking outside my house on the corner of this cul-de-sac here, all the way along. So tonight, I got home, I had to park. I couldn't park outside my own house. I had to park right down the road tonight, just because these people here are now parking outside my house as well. They've got like 5 cars each, I think. They're only like little houses down there, so there must only be about 2 people in each house maximum. But so many cars. Why have they got so many cars? They've got work vans, they've got his cars, they've got her cars, they've got their cars. Oh, it's frustrating. And then, like I said, in the morning now, they'll all be gone, and I'll have to walk all that way down there to get in my car. But obviously I'm parked now outside someone else's house, so they are probably telling their YouTube channel, oh, that Mr. Essie's parked outside our house tonight. Can't win, can you? Can't win. That's the most exciting thing of my day. I'm quite glad that's the most exciting thing of my day, actually. It means that nothing major has happened. But, well, it's only 6:30 p.m. Anything could happen. What else am I going to do tonight? I think I might play a bit of World of Warcraft tonight. What else? Might do a bit of reading. I'll tell you what I've been reading recently is this one that someone recommended to me quite a while ago. But yeah, I've been reading this one. It's all right, actually. I don't mind it. I'm reading it really slowly. You can see my receipt bookmark is in there. Yeah, so I'm not reading it very fast, but I'm enjoying it. What else? So I do read a bit of that. Phoebe is coming round tonight, so I'll wait for her arrival. She's just gone to fitness class. First of all, Pilates. Tell you what else is exciting or interesting. Anyway, at one of the schools I work at, the little school over there, they had, like, the other day, someone said to me, oh yeah, we got loads of false widows here, as in the spiders. I was like, really? What? I didn't know. What? I'd never even seen one before. I didn't know what they looked like. But apparently there's lots of them around that area. It's like out in the countryside, you see. So then they showed me they were all inside. Like, there's this electric box that controls the automatic gates. They were all inside there, and I thought, oh yeah, I can see what they look like now. They were all underneath the tyres in the in the play area bit outside, so the kids had to keep away from the tyres because they're bitey things. And then when I got home, lo and behold, there were a couple in my house. So I think they'd come home in my bag or something and then got into my house. But I found one with, like, downstairs there's like a little toilet just for using the toilet. No shower or anything in there. And that's where one of them was. Gosh, thank goodness I wasn't sitting there to find that one, if you catch my drift. So yes, there's one downstairs there. And then I felt a spider on my hand the other night. It went whoa, like that in the middle of the night, and then, like, had to turn a light on and look everywhere. Couldn't see it. There it was, clambering up the wall. One of them bright red ones, the old falsy widow. I don't want them here. I've closed my bedroom window up now. They're going to be stifling and it's going to stink in here, but there won't be any false widows. So there you go. That's something else very exciting. And actually, whilst I was sitting here reading, because my windowsill is literally just here, I saw there was quite a clumpy spider web made today on that windowsill. Don't have a look. I'm going to show you. Hang on. Let's just see if I can turn this off here. Background off. This is my world. How am I going to do this? Let's see. If I take that off there, I just got to turn the light out because I'm not going to have the light on to show you outside my curtain. Hang on. Light's now going off. Woo! Darkness. Let's open them curtains again. Look, see what I mean? It's getting really twilighty out there, isn't it? And I don't mean teenage vampires. Can you just see on here? You can see all the vans going past. Look. Can you just see on here, like just in there? I wonder if I flick it, whether it'll come out. I'm a little bit terrified to do it, but yeah, just I don't know. I don't want to keep doing it in case, like, I summon the beast or something. But over here in the corner as well, behind my cactus. But, see if there's any more. I don't think there is any more. We might be safe in here. But, yeah. Gross. But can you see out here? Look. So, I've got my net curtain. So this is the main road. And then just, hang on, I'm going to have to open the curtains. Here. Can you see just down there? That's that, so there's the turning to my cul-de-sac, and you can just about see the nose of the van there. Maybe you could see it. Maybe you couldn't. Who even knows? But anyway, there you go. There's an exciting tour of the boudoir. On that note, I'll see you all very, very soon for the next chapter, which is why we're here, really, isn't it, after all? Bye.